I'm embarrassed to tell you this, but I may have broken a chair the other day.
What? One of your chairs?
Yeah, I went to the backyard. It was, I ain't gonna lie, it was already ripped.
Oh, you talking about
one of the
lawn
like
chairs?
a lawn chair, a camping chair. I was cooking some burgers and
you sat down hard or what?
I was just sitting there. I was on my phone.
You fat bitch.
Waiting for the patty.
And it just gave out.
I was just, arms and legs were up like this.
Somebody had to hold you, pick you up.
Nah, man, I got myself up. I mustered the strength.
Damn, dog.
I got up. I said, I can't let them see me like this.
They didn't record you or nothing?
Nah, hell no, man. They were too busy dying on the ground over here. How I'm gonna tell a story about me breaking a chair, immediately eat a candy.
Without even blinking an eye.
Your second thought.
Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
I drink a Red Bull every day at work.
Well, well, yeah, you better stick to that, dog. Don't do the 5 hour energy.
Nah, hell no.
The shots.
Yeah, I'm too scared to
kick in because I took 2 back to back one time.
God damn.
Woo.
What the hell, dog? What's going on? What's going on, Late Night Family? We back in the building.
Once again.
Coming to bring you another exciting episode of Late Night Conversations with Uncle Nephew. I am your host, King J, also known as Nephew. And to the left is my co-host,
JR, Big Unc.
What's up, Big Unc?
Shit life, man.
We back in the, I don't know why my voice cracked like that. I was like, Big Unc.
Is it you going through puberty again?
Re-puberty. Nah, what's up, Big Unc?
Man,
what's going down, dog?
Shit, nothing, man. Just
you ready for this month?
I see that. I see you ready, man, and you had talked to me about it, and I'm ready too, man. I think this should be our best month.
I think so too.
Of our stories, you know.
I think so too,
Yeah.
We had a lot of plans for this month. October is probably me and Unc's favorite month.
Man, it's crazy.
We love October because we love Halloween, and this year we're kicking something off called Oktoberfest for Late Night Conversations with Uncle Nephew. It's going to be Oktoberfest for us. So all month this month is going to be all horror content, and whether it's true crime, creepypasta stories, or just anything that we do this month is going to be based around
life events,
true life events. Yes, and we have something special planned for Halloween. So y'all stick with us this month. We're going to have an exciting ride. Today, we have something very dope planned for y'all. But before we jump into today's episode, I just want to say, if this is your first time joining the Late Night Family, we just want to say welcome to the Late Night Family. Welcome to the Late Night Conversations with Uncle Nephew podcast. We hope you enjoy your time with us tonight, and we hope you look at all our other episodes. And if you enjoy all our content, we just ask that you do us one small favor, man. It's free. It don't cost you nothing. Just hit that subscribe button for us. Hit that follow button, and that's whatever platform you're on, whether that's Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast from. We would really greatly appreciate if you just hit that follow button for us. And for our YouTube gang out there, if you're always on YouTube, man, hit that subscribe button and punch that bell in the face so you get notified every time we drop a video. And we're going to try to drop every Friday at 8 a.m. And if we don't, we'll let you know.
Right.
We got something super dope for tonight on.
Right.
I got a good creepypasta to kick off Oktoberfest.
All right.
Tonight's episode is going to be called There's Something Wrong with My Daughter.
That's an insane freaking title, dog. I mean, that could go either way.
Either way, right? I've noticed recently some strange behavior from my 3-year-old. Up until now, she was a normal child. Very verbal and happy, but recently something changed. It started with nightmares. They were a bit stranger than the ones I remember from my childhood, but then again, I don't remember being that young, so I can't say for certain that I've ever had dreams like the one that she's having.
Okay.
She'd come into my room in the middle of the night crying, begging me to protect her. Of course, the first few times it happened, I was panicked, thinking something was seriously wrong, but when she explained, I knew there was no way it could be real. She said there was another little girl in her room, and she said that the other girl wanted to wear her skin.
What?
I'll admit it was creepy, even though I knew it was just a dream, but I pretended I wasn't bothered by my toddler's overactive imagination, and I let her sleep in my room the first few times the nightmares happened, but eventually I had to wean her off that, of course. So one night, instead of grumbling and patting the sheets when she ran into my bedroom in tears, I climbed to my feet, took her back to her own room. I checked all the corners, checked under her bed, checked in her closet, assuring her that there was no one in the room besides the two of us. And I tucked her back in her bed. She has a lamp beside her bed, one of those table lamps. At her request, I let her keep it on. I kissed her forehead before I went back to bed. The next day, her behavior began to change. She spoke very little that morning. I thought perhaps she was angry at me for making her sleep alone after her most recent nightmare.
Right.
I asked as much, but she shook her head. Around noon that day, her daycare called. She refused to take a nap, apparently. And when one of the women running the place tried to put her on her mat, she bit the poor woman.
Wow.
My child has never bitten anyone before that day. I took off work early, telling my boss I had a family emergency, and picked my daughter up from the daycare, taking her straight home. She was silent the entire ride, but I was lecturing her, so I didn't think that was unusual. When we got home, I sent her straight to her room for a timeout. She wasn't to come out until supper. I sat down on the couch just to rest for a moment, but I must have fallen asleep because when I opened my eyes, it was nighttime.
Wow.
And my daughter was standing right in front of me.
Can you imagine?
Just watching, silent. I jolted up, startled, and she stepped back. A glance at the clock told me it was nearly 8, her bath time. I cussed at myself for sleeping so long. It's important for young children to have a steady schedule, I think, and I'd gone and messed that up, but I made her a quick dinner, one of those frozen chicken nuggets that the kids like so much, but she didn't seem as excited as she usually does over them. She ate in complete silence, and after dinner and bath, I tucked her into bed, and she didn't ask for the lamp that night, so I turned it off before kissing her forehead. It was cold, almost clammy, and I had to repress the urge to wipe my lips off on my hand. Kissing my child goodnight felt like what I imagined kissing a corpse would feel like.
What?
I made a mental note to set up a doctor's appointment as soon as possible, told her I loved her, and left her room. But she didn't say it back. That night, she came into my room again. Instead of the usual frightened tone she had, often whenever she would have these type of late night visits, she was oddly calm. "Mommy," she said, "can I sleep with you tonight?" I asked sleepily if she had not had another nightmare. She said nothing. She just looked at me and stared. I was tired, and after such an awful day, I had a shorter temper than I ought to have. I grabbed her by her wrist and walked her back to her room. When I picked her up and put her into her bed, "Stay here, go to sleep, and do not get back up," I said quite firmly. Maybe a little angrily, she blinked up at me, unresponsive, and went back to bed. She didn't bother me again that night. Her behavior hasn't been bad apart from the incident with the daycare woman, but I have been notified that she no longer plays with other children. She sits alone when I drop her off and doesn't say a word. The daycare workers told me that they don't think she's actually sleeping during nap time, though she no longer puts up a fight when they lay her down. She eats less too, and today I walked into the living room to find her sitting in the floor, staring at the TV, but it was turned off. I've got a doctor's appointment for her later on this week, but I'm worried her behavior may worsen before then. She hasn't come into my room again since the other night, but I get this strange feeling that she isn't sleeping much. Tonight, after I put her to bed, I plan on waiting a while, long enough for her to be asleep, and then I'm going into her room. I'll update y'all guys when I know more. Any fellow parents with advice, feel free to give it.
That's strange, dog.
Part 2. I'd like to begin by thanking all of you for your advice and kind words. I've been with my daughter all night and all day so far since it's my day off from work, and I only just got a moment alone to type this up. Her favorite show is on, though she no longer seems all that interested in it. She's just sitting there, staring blankly at the screen. So last night I did what I said I would and waited for her to fall asleep. Then, with a blanket and a pillow, I went into her room. She was sitting up in bed, wide awake, staring at her closet. She didn't even flinch when I opened the door. I'm not even sure she noticed me until I spoke. "Sweetie?" I asked, and her head snapped towards me so fast that I nearly stepped back. "Did you have a bad dream?" She was silent, simply blinking at me. I took in her appearance then. It was worse than it had been when I put her to bed somehow. She had dark circles under her eyes, and her skin by her eyes seemed loose. She looked tired when I put her to bed that night, but now she almost looks ill. She looks a lot thinner too, like she somehow very quickly is starving, even though I made certain to feed her a bigger supper than usual to try to make up for her lack of appetite. I sat down on the floor beside her bed, reaching a hand up to check her temperature. She watched my hand approach but didn't make any move to resist. So I pressed the back of my hand to her forehead, and she was colder than before, the skin having an almost papery, unreal feel to it, like a costume. "Do you want mommy to sleep in here tonight?" I asked slowly. She didn't speak, but she gave a slow nod, and I let out a breath, situating my pillow on the ground. "I'm sorry for being snippy with you lately. You know I love you very much, right? More than anything else." For the first time since the night I stopped letting her sleep with me, my daughter smiled. But it wasn't right. My daughter has a dimple in her right cheek, just like I did at her age. It's very cute, and it makes her smile absolutely adorable. Her grin is a little crooked too, like her father's was, and her teeth are nice and straight and well kept. I make sure she brushes them every morning and evening. But all of that was different. It was subtle, the differences, but not something someone who hadn't spent every single day with her since she was born would notice. The dimple, for instance, was not gone completely, but had relocated to the left side of her face. I checked her baby album this morning while she was nibbled at her breakfast to make sure I hadn't lost my mind. All the baby photos show her with a dimple on her right cheek. Her grin also was no longer right. It was still slightly crooked, but it seemed almost cruel now. Nothing like my daughter's sweet smile. It was twisted, but not blatantly so. The most obvious change was her teeth. They were dirtier and almost sharper, but not so sharp as to be startling, as they were slightly crooked in some places. Nothing too foul, but just not neatly aligned like my daughter's teeth had been. I feel awful now, having been so negligent as not to notice all the differences in her appearance. Once I saw the teeth, I began picking up on so many other differences. For example, this morning I noticed that her hair was straighter than before and drier. She had split ends, and when I brushed it, a good deal came free, though not enough to make her look any different. Her fingernails are sharper too, and her fingers themselves seem a bit longer. I think she's even grown a few inches within the past day, but I'm getting sidetracked. There will be plenty of time to know how different she is later. She smiled at me, laid in the dark of her bedroom, and she said in a soft, slightly hoarse voice, "I love you too, Mommy." Even though I knew at this point this girl was different from the one I gave birth to, I leaned up to press a kiss to her distinguishedly cold forehead, and I tucked her in. I couldn't do anything right then, and I couldn't leave after saying I'd stay. I couldn't make her suspicious. So I laid down and I tried to sleep. Now and then I'd glance up to see her eyes closed. A few times I thought I felt her watching me, or glanced up to see her quickly shut her eyes, which were focused on the closet door. Eventually though, I ended up falling asleep. I woke up to her sitting on my stomach, little nails biting into my shoulders. "Mommy," she whined. "I'm so sleepy, Mommy, she won't let me sleep." For a moment I doubted myself. This was the sort of thing I thought my daughter would say in regards to the girl haunting her dreams, but the child on top of me said it wrong. There was no fear in her voice. The only emotion I could hear was some form of almost delight, as if she was enjoying herself, and perhaps anger at whatever was keeping her from sleep. "Take me back to your room, Mommy," she said, where she can't see. I'm unsure why, but the notion of letting this child into my room terrified me. I felt like we left my daughter's room, then whatever this creature was would be able to act on the barely concealed emotions in her eyes. When I looked into her eyes now, more gray than the sweet blue of my child's, I saw hatred and hunger. "Sweetie, we have to sleep in here tonight. If you still feel like this tomorrow, we'll see about letting you sleep in Mommy's room, okay? Can you try for Mommy?" I'm proud of myself for lying so cleanly, for keeping my voice steady, instead of letting it tremor with the bone-deep fear I felt. She pouted, but after a bit, the girl who was pretending to be my daughter nodded and climbed back into bed. I didn't get any more sleep that night. When my daughter's breathing finally slowed, I thought I heard scuffling coming from the closet, but when I opened the door, nothing was there. Today, I fed the girl pretending to be my daughter breakfast and let her watch cartoons. Then I took her for ice cream after lunch. She didn't seem to care. She licked at the ice cream for a while, but soon she began to just let it melt, and I had to make her throw it away. She didn't smile at me again, but honestly, I'm thankful for that. I tried to take her by a local Christian church, not telling her where we were going, but she threw up on the way to the car, and I had to bring her home. She's been laying on the couch since then, with me keeping a close eye on her. I think whatever she is, she likes the TV off or on. She doesn't show any outward joy, but she watches attentively. My real daughter would watch TV, but she was always so active. She'd always be doing something while she watched her favorite show. This one just sat as close as I'd allow it and stared. I know this isn't my daughter. I didn't want to believe it, but I do. When she ate the ice cream, she made a mess of herself, and I had to give her an early bath. Some of her skin came off in the tub.
What the?
It was a thin strip, like a bad peel after a sunburn, and it just came free from her back. As I washed it for her, I stared in horror before quickly snatching it from the water. She couldn't know I've seen. Under that thin layer of paperly, oddly stretched looking skin, her skin was gray and vaguely slimy, looking like a corpse left to soak. It was not human skin. You may have noticed I called the skin oddly stretched. Well, I am looking at it now while her show plays. It's a thin strip, 2 fingers wide, maybe as long as my hand. To give you an idea of how it's stretched, it looks like something took a small amount of skin and somehow elongated it enough to cover more than it should. I am terrified for my real daughter. This skin, I honestly believe it may be hers, but something in me sincerely believes she is not dead yet. I'm going to let this creature continue watching its show, and I'm going into my daughter's room. There's something suspicious about that closet, and I think I know what it may be. I'll keep y'all updated, of course, if I can.
Bro.
Part 3.
Insane, man. This is insane.
Hello again. Things have finally calmed down, and I'm updating from outside of a 24-hour McDonald's using their Wi-Fi. A lot has happened, and I think I may be in shock, but I'm alive. After my last update, I went into the living room to make sure that thing was still focused on the TV. It was. It didn't even look my way. I watched it for a moment, and it reached up to scratch the side of its neck. A small chunk of paper-thin skin fell to the floor. I walked past it casually, picking up my purse off the coffee table. Mommy's going to get a bath, sweetie. Stay here until I'm done. The little monster didn't say a word, didn't even seem to hear me. Its eyes, which seemed to grow less blue by the hour, were glued to the screen. A little bit of drool was visible in the corner of its mouth. I went into the bathroom, running the tub full of water, and turned the radio on. I opened the small window above the toilet just wide enough for me to fit through. And then I peeked down the hall into the living room. That thing hadn't moved an inch. I crept down the hall to my daughter's room and slipped in, locking the door. The closet was shut. I glanced at the bed. There was more of that thin, papery skin there. A slight smell like mildew filled the room. I ignored that though, opening the closet and pulling the string to turn the simple overhead bulb. Just like yesterday, there was nothing odd in there, but I could hear scuffling from inside the wall. I pressed my hand against the back of my daughter's closet and felt the wallpaper there give. It was a pretty simple thing tearing through that thin spot. It was tall enough to let a child through, so I had to stoop down to get in. I dug my phone from my purse and used it to light my way. It was claustrophobic at first, scooting along the wall. Then I found a sort of tunnel. It stooped downwards to where I suppose a basement would have been if we had one. There was a sort of room there, no walls or floors, but a hollowed out place in the earth with several connecting tunnels. I could stand up straight here, but there was only a foot of walking space in front and to either side of me. Then I'd have to pick a tunnel. It took me a moment to notice all of this due to the smell that nearly knocked me off my ass when I entered the room. You know the smell of rotting meat? That's what it was, rotting meat. But stronger, like there was a lot of it, and it had been rotting for a while. It permeated the air, radiating from the tunnels. It was the strongest from the tunnel directly ahead of me. I'll admit now, standing in that small room, gagging at the stench of death and rot, I was terrified. If not for my daughter, I would have turned back right then. There were tears in my eyes, one hand covering my mouth and nose to keep some of the reek at bay. I didn't want to go into those tunnels. God only knows how deep they went. Perhaps they led to other houses. Maybe that thing moved around from home to home. I have to wonder how old it was really under all that skin. I think everything that I didn't have to explore those tunnels. I only had until the final episode of those cartoons to get back, if even that. Right when I was about to just march into the tunnel ahead, a whimper came from my left and some scuffling. I spun, pointed my phone light at the source of the noise. It was my little girl, her wrists bound behind her. There were bites on her arms and legs, pieces of missing chunks of skin. It looked like a couple were starting to fester, but the infection hadn't set in yet. She was alive, tired, hungry, and frightened, but alive. I nearly dropped my only light source, a weak sob broken free as I rushed her. I untied her, careful of her injuries, and she threw her arms around me. When she pulled back, I prepared her little cheeks. I peppered her little cheeks with kisses. She was crying. I think I was too. She had a dimple in her right cheek. Her teeth were straight, though they hadn't been brushed since the last time I saw her. Her hair was dirty and it had been cut. She lost weight. She was covered in various forms of filth, and I'm sure she smelled awful, but it didn't matter. She was alive. I lifted her. She was too weak to walk, and carried her back up through the tunnel into her closet. I went faster this time. I didn't like turning my back on that room. It made me nervous. Back in her room, I whispered to her that she needed to be very quiet, that we had to be careful, or that other girl would know. She nodded, sniffling, fat tears running down her face and a little snot. I peeked down the hall again, but nothing had changed. That monster was still watching the TV. It was easy to duck into the bathroom and set my daughter down. I locked the bathroom door, bandaged her wounds as best as I could, and gave her my purse. Mommy needs you to go out the window, okay? Use the keys in my purse. Get in the car and lock the doors until I come. You have to make sure it's me, okay? The password is... I thought for a moment, looking around. Curtains. Yeah, okay. I have to say curtains. She nodded. I love you, sweetie, I whispered. I love you too, Mommy. I almost cried. I hadn't heard her voice in so long. Her real voice. I gave her a boost and she climbed through the window, dropping out of the other side and running straight for the car. I stepped out of the bathroom, locking and shutting the door behind me. I walked past that little monster and into my kitchen. It didn't speak. A chunk of dead hair had fallen to the carpet. The first thing I did was set 2 pots out, one under the curtains, one on the stove. I dug around a bit before unearthing a jug of lighter fluid my dad had given me a while back. When he brought me a nice fire pit for my backyard camping and such. I'd only used the pit a few times, so the lighter fluid was almost completely full. I emptied it into the pot by the curtains. Then I pulled the cloth off the kitchen table. It was a fairly long one. My daughter likes to play with it sometimes, or take it and use it for a pillow fort. I put one end in the lighter fluid and set the other end in the pot on the stove. This didn't take long. I glanced between the stove and the curtains, once taking a deep breath. My house was nice, and I'd always thought I was lucky to have it, especially being a single mother. I had to work hard to give my child a good life. I turned the stove on high and waited until the cloth started smoking. Then I left the kitchen. I had to walk through the living room to reach an exit. The creature was no longer in front of the TV. I glanced down the hallway, and there it was, standing right at the start, watching me. Mommy, it said, a piece of skin peeled away from its cheek, fluttering to the ground. Why did you go in my closet? I broke into a run, straight for the door. Then the second my hand touched the knob, that thing was on me, hissing and snarling. Its nails dragged down my side, slicing the skin. I flailed, hitting it, digging my own nails into its forehead and shoving back. It stumbled away and glared at me, baring its teeth. My nails had managed to tear a good bit of the skin off its face, and a good deal peeled away on its own, hanging simply from its jaws, its face. It's almost hard to remember, but at the same time, I can't forget. It was the same puffy, slimy gray as the rest of it. It had no eyelids, no lips. Its cheekbones were visible where the skin clung tightly to the skull. I get the feeling that if I peeled my daughter's hair back from its skull, it would have been bald. It attacked me again, tackling me at its legs. My back hit the door, slid, skull bouncing off the carpet. I was disoriented for a bit. I could smell smoke now. And when I dizzily glanced towards the kitchen, I saw the flames spreading, crawling up the walls of the living room. There was a burning pain in my leg, and I shouted out, my thoughts clearing. That thing had bitten a chunk of my calf. Dang. Blood and gristle coated its chin as it looked up at me. I did the first thing I can do. I reared my injured leg back and kicked it in the face as hard as I could. There was a crunching noise, something in its face breaking, and it flew back. It slumped on the ground, and I slowly struggled to my feet. The living room was on fire now. I opened the door, the burst of air causing the fire to leap forward a feet or so. The creature was getting up. I pulled the door shut it tight as the flames leaped forward again. I felt the dull thud of it throwing itself against the door several times. Then it started screaming. The doorknob was too hot, so I had to let go. It didn't try to open the door. The screaming continued for a bit, but I knew I had to leave right then. I ran to the car. My little girl was staring at me from the inside. It took me a second to remember, and I shouted curtains at her several times before she unlocked the door and gave me the keys. She was still crying, but she'd managed to buckle her seatbelt in her child seat. My purse was in the floor in front of her. I drove away from that place and kept driving until I was far enough away to feel safe. Then I pulled over to the side of the road and sobbed. We've been driving for 12 hours now. I bought some first aid supplies at a truck stop, and after using the bathroom sink to clean myself up and my child as best as I could, I treated our injuries to the best of my ability. I fed her as well. She was starving, but she had to take it slow because I didn't want to make herself sick. Once she eaten and drinking a bottle of water, I asked her if she could tell me what that thing did. She says it took her the night I sent her back for the first time. She fell asleep and woke up inside that room, her wrist tied. It bit her. She said it took a chunk right out of her thigh. She said it grew her skin on it, and after eating that piece, it took her hair too. But she doesn't know if it ate that. I asked about the other bites. She told me it had to replace its skin every few days or it would get old and fall off. She said it wanted me, that it told her it was going to take me tonight. It liked it. It liked to make her cry with words with pain. It gave her some water each night to keep her alive until it could take me instead. I guess I would be the better choice. I'm bigger and I would have lasted longer. It could have taken more, and I think that's why it was so hungry. It could only take a bit at a time for my daughter. My daughter's sleeping now, one of her hands on my arm. I can't help but look at her every few minutes, memorizing her face, her dimple on the right side of her face, her curls, much shorter now. I wasn't sure if I'd ever see her again. I'm on my way to my sister's home, and she lives a few states away. She's even got a degree in nursing. Her wife is very superstitious, and she's picked up a bit of that herself. I think they'll believe me once I show them the bite marks on both of us. I don't know if that creature is still alive. If it made it back to its tunnels, it might be. Please believe your children. Be careful. I've waited much longer. If I'd have waited much longer, if I had denied the fact that that thing wasn't the girl I'd given birth to, I would no longer have a child. I have to go now. My little girl's waking up. She sees the McDonald's. I might as well buy her some chicken nuggets. I think she deserves a treat after all the hell she's been through.
That's crazy.
Thank you all for all y'all's advice. I'm not sure I would have been able to get to her in time without it. Just remember, trust your children before their nightmares become yours.
Damn it, boy. That was crazy.
That's tough, right?
You got me from the get-go because, of course, the title.
There's something
but I
wrong
didn't
with my
expect
daughter.
a 3-year-old. I expected a teenager, dog.
Right, exactly,
Dude,
dog.
I really thought you were gonna have a story of a teenager who was possessed or out of control. Had no clue it was a 3-year-old. That made it even crazier.
Crazier, dog. Because being that little, dog, like,
and then
you can imagine they have an imagination,
yeah.
But for something like that,
and for her to talk as well as she was, and to have a nightmare and or witness something like that and be like, your mom doesn't believe you. Dude. I mean, would you believe your daughter?
I don't know.
I mean, maybe
that's
now you would,
one,
but
right?
I mean, Dad, I'm scared.
Like,
how
go
many
to
times
bed.
have we said that when we were kids? Ma, I want to sleep here tonight. You ain't got a choice.
Exactly.
That's how we were brought up. You ain't got a choice.
Yeah.
Can you leave the light on? What light?
Yeah, for real.
You don't pay
but
the
I
bill.
can't sleep with the TV. Hell no.
Nope. Now we do it. We're grown up. We can do what we want. But that was insane. If it really
That's
was
crazy,
because,
right?
like I said, it blew me away from the get go when you said 3-year-old. That
because that age is such an innocent age, dog.
It is, dude. I mean, they can be a little unruly because they don't know any better,
or they don't understand how to convey their emotions and
Right.
stuff like that. But dog, for them to say something like, "The little girl in my room wants to live in my skin,"
right?
Like, what the
Yeah,
hell?
well, that's that. You would think, no, she doesn't know what she's talking about. But then taking bites out of her, in order for her
to
skin.
keep regenerating her skin,
Yeah.
dog, and that's because like halfway, dude, that ending was crazy.
Yeah.
Because halfway through this, I thought the same thing. I'm like, this little girl wants to live in my skin, this and that, and I'm like, man, what if she's getting possessed, dog?
Right. That's what I was thinking. A possession. I never expected a real
like a monster, or a creature.
Yeah.
And what could it be? What's up, late night family? Sorry for the quick interruption. We just wanted to come on and shout somebody very special out. But before we do that, I got a question for you, Aunt.
What's up, nephew?
What do you think is more scary than today's story that I got for you today?
You tell me.
Being stuck in a house with no heat or air.
Oh, man.
Ain't that scary, dog?
In the summertime?
Oh, have the whole house smelling like onions.
That's scary, dog.
That's scary, ain't it, dog? Or being in here freezing to death.
Oh, man, that's
Be like
worse.
on the Titanic. Jack, come back. Hey, man, that's scary.
Good, yeah,
that's scary, right?
Yeah.
Man, well, if you're having any AC problems, any heating problems, I want to give out a shout out to today's sponsor, Carlos from Perez Heating and Air. Man, thank you for sponsoring the podcast, brother. We want to shout you out, man. If y'all need anybody to work on y'all's AC units for heating and air, man, Carlos is the guy to call, man. He's going to get you taken care of fast. He's very reliable, man. I had an issue with my AC. I called him, and he came next day, fixed up everything, man. Great price. Great job, great work, man. He's just a great person, man. So shout out to you, brother. We're going to put his number right here, man. And y'all give him a call, man. Please give him a call. He's very great. And yeah, man, thank you for sponsoring the podcast.
Appreciate it.
And we appreciate you very much. And yeah, let's get back to today's episode.
I mean, to me, what
Skinwalker.
Well, and that's what I told. Remember, I told you earlier about my homeboy and his wife that they were like, "What are those eyes out there?" You know. And I told her a skinwalker. She was like, "What?" You know,
dog. Because you know we've had reports of skinwalkers before in this area.
Well, I mean, I told her. I said, "Do you remember the goat man?"
The goat man.
You know.
Right. And see, man, for some of y'all who don't know who the goat man is, apparently it's supposed to be
in one of our silos here in Hill County.
Where we live at.
Yeah, Plymouth, Texas.
Yeah, they said that there's supposed to be a man who the top of his body is man, like arms and...
What are those called, man? A half man, half
like a
horse?
minotaur or something like that.
But this is a goat. Where his feet, you know, you can see he's got hooves.
He's got hooves for feet. Like the bottom half is a goat.
Of a goat, yeah.
But the top half is a man.
Man, a well dressed and a handsome man.
Dog, that's crazy. You know? And speaking of that, we've heard stories like that before.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it's every town has their own. You know, every town has their own little folklore.
Yeah, folklore. Yeah.
But like, I'm sure you've heard this because I want to say I don't know if Momo told me this one time, my grandma, but. Dog, and y'all comment in the comment section. Have y'all heard this folklore before about the handsome man at a dance?
Yeah,
right.
That was supposedly happened here at one of ours
at one of our locals
in the 80s,
right,
or late 70s, early 80s.
They said that was a well dressed handsome man.
But his feet were
and he was real handsome, and he was wooing all these women.
Yeah,
and he was dancing with this woman and. She happened to look down, and his feet were hooves.
Hooves, yeah.
And then when she looked up, he was the devil. He was the devil. And I've heard that story
he ran
before.
And they never caught him. Of course, they're not going to catch him. Being demonic or
right. And dog, I heard another dance story from a friend of mine at work, and I'm sure I don't think he'll mind me telling the story, but. He said that they went to a dance like here in town. I can't remember his exact story. But I know he had something about they went to a dance and that they both kind of got a little drunk, and then one of them was like, "Man, I'm gonna head back to the car," and he was like, "I'm gonna head back to the car," and he's like, "Just kind of chill out, before we go." So he said he went and got in the car. He was just there, kind of like nodding off, and then he heard his friend get in the car. He said they talked for a little bit, and then out of nowhere, somebody knocked on his window, and his friend was like, "Hey, let me in! Like, unlock the door." And he looked to his side and nobody was there.
What the?
And he opened the door and he's like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "I've been knocking on the window." And he's like, "Dude, you were just in here." He's like, "Dude, no, I was." He said, "Yeah, the door's locked." He said, "Dude, I just talked to you for like 5 minutes."
Dude, who was he talking to?
Who was he talking to, dog? That's crazy.
You hear stories, man, that people go outside or whatever and then they disappear. It's crazy that,
that's wild.
Us being podcasters that we listen to podcasts, you read a lot of creepypastas, and people talk about, missing children or missing, where they go outside and I'll be right back and never come back. Where do they go, man?
Right.
People that go missing, there's lots of shows and stories about people gone missing.
Like without a trace.
Without a trace. Never seen again. Just like vanished, just disappeared. And
like how can somebody just vanish off the face of the earth?
I mean, there's people with money who can do that, want to start a new life. But kids with no money just
to never be seen again.
Yeah, I mean, of course, our theories are, sex trafficking or drug trafficking, murdered. Well, look at the guy from what was it? Where he had those women captive for those years, man, and that one black guy, he.
Oh, he found them.
Yeah,
yes.
Cincinnati.
Yes.
What was it called? It was Cincinnati. Yeah, look how long they were missing, and they were in town.
Dude, yeah, I seen something like that where a girl was missing like a couple miles from her house. In some dude's shed or something like that. For years, like 20 years.
I can't think of her name, man. What was her name? That guy who was Jesus supposedly had her captive.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
She survived
some type of cult.
Yeah, she's she talks to people now. She survived it. But yeah, dude, I mean,
it's stuff like that you're like, what?
Those are the things that we like. This story, going back to the story. I mean, we don't believe kids because
when they say stuff. Oh, they just have overactive imagination.
Or some kids, that I'm being bullied, and most parents don't believe them, and then they end up, suicide or missing, even missing,
right.
And then parents are like, well, all the signs were there.
But they just ignored them.
Oh, like the little girl, she's really, really, my bad, I'm had an itch inside my ear. She's telling the mom, but the mom.
There's somebody in my room.
Like I said, how many times, your son sleeps by himself? Your bedroom's on the other side of the house.
Dog, and just to be honest with you, dog. Hearing, like if my son were to come in the room and like, hey dad, there's a little boy in my room. All right, first of all, stay right here. Well, you're not going back to your room.
No, you're gonna go look, but you're gonna be like, dude,
I'm not gonna make him sleep in that room again, dog.
Look. Knowing my nephew, dog, he's got imagination, dog.
Well, yeah, I know that, but see, that's the same thing that happened to this mom.
But now that you saw the story, but in reality, if he would have came to you last month and said, hey, the little boy in my room
won't let me sleep.
Dude, man, get your ass in the room.
Dog, I'm gonna keep it a buck.
I mean, we parents are different now than the way I grew up. I raised my kids different than you're raising yours. You will let your son sleep with you until you feel that he's ready. We couldn't.
They just made y'all sleep in their room.
Back to the room. If I put a belt on you.
If I put belt to ass.
Go get that switch.
Damn, that's crazy. It's true though. Yeah.
So
because you didn't have kids sleeping with your parents back then in the old days.
No,
y'all really slept in y'all's room for real.
We ain't had no choice.
And let me guess, because that was how many of y'all?
There was 3 of us, 3 boys and 1 daughter in a 3-bedroom house. My grandmama lived with us, so my parents had 1 bedroom.
So that's 2 bedrooms taken up.
Well, my parents had a bedroom. Then my grandma had a bedroom, so my sister, your mama, slept with my grandma because she was little.
Okay.
So
it was 3 of y'all.
I had my own room.
Y'all slept?
The boys slept. My brothers slept in the living room.
Oh, you had your own room?
Yeah, pretty much.
Sorry, dog.
I mean, in the beginning, when we were little, we all slept in the same bed. As 4, 5, 6, 7.
Head to feet.
Dude, once we hit 9, 10, puberty age. Your ass to the living room.
Oh yeah, once you whoop them, get to the living room.
Yeah, dude, this is my bed.
Oh, that's
my
funny,
room.
dog. God,
that's how Hispanics are raised, dog. That's how.
Yeah.
I don't know about the whites or the blacks. I'm sure the blacks are too. I mean, because how else are you gonna raise three boys and 1 daughter in a 1-bedroom house? I say 1 bedroom because that's all we had is a bedroom for us.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything else is taken. You sleep in the living room or you sleeping outside. I mean, we had a basement, but it wasn't a basement. It was a cellar.
Oh, yeah.
Ain't no electricity. Ain't nothing in
concrete
there.
Walls and floors.
Yeah.
So, you can't sleep. Well, you can sleep in there.
You can, but ain't happening. You can't put a portable. You can put a portable electric heater in down there, but you can't put nothing with flames because of the carbon monoxide and stuff.
Oh
like that.
Yeah. But vents. But yeah, like you said, I mean that's true though, and that's what I'm saying, Unc. Like as a parent, when you hear your kid say it, of course, like you said, you're gonna go check it out.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But do you think, maybe you think like, man, maybe it's just his imagination but I ain't gonna lie, huh?
Well,
when my kid says there's somebody in my room, like a little boy, it's not even there's somebody in my room. When he says there's another little boy in there,
right. Well, you're gonna go.
Now we're moving out.
Look, dog.
We might have to move out.
This story is very interesting and very scary to me in a different level. But under the bed,
man, that's scary too, dog.
Under the bed is scary because especially like your son's bed is against the wall, the corner.
Oh yeah, in the corner, so it's dark.
It's dark. If you're gonna peek down there. Can you imagine a little boy trying to reach down there and look under? And
speaking of that, dude, oh my gosh, dude, there was a short video that I saw on I don't know if it was on Facebook or YouTube. He was tucking his son in the bed, and he was tucking his son in the bed, and then he heard something under the bed, and he was like, "What the hell?" Or no, I want to say something like the kid said, make sure to check under my bed for monsters or something like that. Oh. And he tucked his kid in, and then he looked underneath the bed, and he saw his kid laying underneath the bed, and he's like, "Dad, that's not me."
What the?
Nah, I got chills, dog. Oh, that gave me chills.
Can you imagine if you saw that? He was
like, "Dad, that's not me." And when he looked up, the clip ended. It was like, whatever was on top of his bed wasn't his kid,
we need
dog.
to look into, for our clips for this year, for this month.
Dog, yes, bro.
We need to start making clips like that.
But that's what I'm saying. I think anything horror-wise with kids makes it 100 times scarier,
of course, dog. Of course, Yeah, but to me, under the bed is scarier than the closet.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because the closet, you can keep the closet door open.
Yeah.
But under the bed,
yeah, because when I hear Monsters in the Closet, I think of Monsters Inc.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, the movie. You know what I'm saying?
You do.
I'm finna go in there.
Yeah.
Where's Sully at? And I go to the Monster World.
Right.
Yeah, that's where I'm trying to go.
And
but under the bed, that's a whole.
That's reality nowadays,
Right.
For these kids growing up, we didn't have that. Actually, we didn't have. We had scary movies. That was it. We didn't have.
Dog, I ain't gonna lie.
We had Barney.
Y'all's generation. Yeah, y'all didn't have. Yeah, y'all had Barney. What else did y'all have? Sesame Street.
Yeah, we had Sesame Street. Barney was my daughter's era. The 2000, the 90s,
early 90s,
yeah, 2000s, early 2000s.
Yeah, dog.
That's Barney.
And Elmo.
Barney lied to everybody.
Oh, Elmo was Sesame Street. That was y'all's.
Elmo and Count Dracula.
One,
Ernie,
two, yeah, that was the dog.
The dude that was always high. What was it? The elephant.
The elephant. Yeah, he was always high. He just be rolling around.
So. Breaking topic, that everybody had an emotion. That's what Sesame Street is all about.
Right.
Do you not know that?
Wait. What do you mean?
Every character
was an emotion?
Was an emotion. Anxiety, what's his name had anxiety, Oscar the Grouch had anxiety. People hate. Nobody likes me. Elmo had what was Elmo? He everything's in emotion. Big Bird, was high.
Man, let's look at
the elephant was depressed and was depression.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't Because remember, in the 70s and 80s, it wasn't depression, it wasn't anxiety, it wasn't, it wasn't diagnosed like it is now, bipolar or
right,
or multiple personality disorder or, full ADHD, with the bipolar or ADHD, right. with an anxiety or
you're so right, huh? Elmo, emotional balance. He experienced all the emotions. Cookie Monster, navigating impulse and patience. Oscar the Grouch, reactivity and withdrawal, anxiety. That's
Big
crazy. Let's see. Telly Monster, an intense monster who worries a lot and needs help with strong emotions like anxiety, frustration. Rudy, the nephew of Abby Kadabi, who experiences disappointment when he can't attend fairy school.
Yeah, he's one of the little fairy tale whatever.
Okay, Count Von Count. While primarily focused on numbers, his counting can sometimes become an annoyance to others, showing how a singular passion can affect relationships.
Right.
That's crazy.
You didn't know that, nephew?
Dog. Okay. Well, okay. See, on the same topic.
Okay, it wasn't put out like that.
Right.
You know,
there was like an underlying message.
What is that show now that they have, the cartoon where it talks about anxiety and it talks about
Inside Out.
Inside Out.
Yes.
You know, that's a show made for kids so they can see what depression, see what anxiety does. That's what that's all about. Okay, Sesame Street, we were taught in a different way how to handle. If these kids, you know, the count being annoying, you know, or whatever. I can't laugh like him, but you know, people are like, man, I can't stand him.
Yeah, okay, he's so annoying.
So, how are you going to overcome that?
That emotion. Yeah.
You know, how do you overcome hate?
Oh, with love.
With love, right?
Yeah.
You know, and who had most love? Big Bird had most. Big Bird loved everybody.
Damn, that's a good dog. That's a good theory, dog. Because it did talk about how Elmo is to help kids figure their emotions out by using different characters to display different emotions.
Yeah.
Dog, on that same topic, I got something cool to tell you too.
Bring it.
So, just like in Sesame Street, SpongeBob, there's a theory going around about SpongeBob. Have you ever heard the 7 deadly sins theory?
From SpongeBob?
From SpongeBob.
How could he? Well, I mean, okay, you know, you got gluttony. You have greed,
envy, sloth, wrath, pride. So check this out, huh?
Right.
Mr. Krabs, the crab in SpongeBob.
He's prideful.
He's greed.
Oh,
because he has an overwhelming love for money and his pursuit of wealth. Dog, he loves money so much that one time he sold SpongeBob's soul to the Flying Dutchman for 62 cents.
Oh shit!
Because he was like, that's
crazy.
He was
that's insane because I've never heard it.
Dog,
I'm not a SpongeBob.
SpongeBob
we talking about. Yeah, I'm not a fan because my kids were over that era. I mean,
yeah, that was my generation, the late '90s, early 2000s. See, Mr. Krabs, dog. Yeah, there was an episode where he was like,
I'm going berserk with this web, dog.
He was like, he said, "What about everything in my pocket?" And he's like, "Well, what you got?" And he's like, 62 cents. He's like, "I'll take the money." Like over his worker's soul.
Greed, right?
Greed, plankton, envy, the arch nemesis of Mr. Krabs. He's the little green thing.
Oh yeah, he wants what he has.
He wants the secret recipe.
Right.
He's perpetuously envious of the Krusty Krab's success and the secret crab.
Who's Sloth?
Sloth is Patrick, the starfish.
The starfish.
He's fat, lazy. He's extreme laziness. He's so lazy that one time he won an award for being the most laziest creature in Bikini Bottom. Then you got Gary, his snail, SpongeBob snail.
Yeah, the one with the big eyes like
his
this.
is gluttony. And
this he's always eating?
Dude, the snail storyline often revolves around his insatiable appetite and love for food. There's so many episodes where SpongeBob forgets to feed Gary, and it shows him eating half the couch. Or like he ate.
Oh, okay.
He's always hungry.
Eating, right.
And there's Squidward. He represents wrath. He has constant misery,
he's always
anger. He's always mad.
Yeah.
He hates SpongeBob and Patrick.
I know the characters. Yes. I just don't like watching. I can't sit and watch 3, 4, 5 episodes like you can.
My wife can't stand SpongeBob. She don't like his laugh, his voice. Dog, so you got wrath is Squidward. You know, he's very hateful. Then you got pride. Pride is Sandy Cheeks, the squirrel.
Oh, the one because
Sandy takes deep pride in her intelligence, scientific abilities, sometimes leading to boastfulness. And then you got SpongeBob. And I was like, what could SpongeBob be? There's only one more 7 deadly sin. It's lust. And this is why SpongeBob is lust. His excessive love and enthusiasm for life, work, and his friends represent a form of his excessive desire or lust. Oh. Bro, sometimes...
See, people don't understand. They think lust is
like wanting sexual, and it's not. He just has such an intense love of work, and like, dog...
You can lust over a burger. All I want to eat is hamburgers all the time.
There's a whole episode where he has to take a day off because Mr. Krabs has to give him a day off, or else they're gonna charge him or something like that.
Yeah.
So, dude, SpongeBob spends his whole day off trying to get back into work by disguising himself.
he's lost.
Dude, he
See,
loves
I've never
work.
heard that. It makes sense.
Dude, he loves his friends. Sometimes
can we always? No, but you're right. I mean that you know,
Dog, that's
just
crazy,
like
right?
Sesame Street. You know, who would have thought of that? You know who? Which of course is a therapist who come up with these ideas. Who? How can we teach these kids
to deal with their emotions?
You know, like right now. I think the biggest deal with these kids now is social anxiety because of
the cell phones, social
they're
media.
so stuck on social media, they don't know how to interact. I know that the school system here in Texas has done away with the phones.
Yeah, you can't have cell phones in school no more, dude. You gotta lock them up.
Which who
lock
was I
them
talking
up.
to?
Hold on. Have you seen that meme? Lock them up.
No,
I'm gonna have to show you after this.
Okay.
You ever heard of Trey Taylor?
No.
Crew Tractor?
No.
Lock them up. Hey, if y'all know what that is, y'all know what that is.
This guy knows his algorithm, his stuff he looks up is so much different. And I guess it's because of the age difference.
Probably the age gap.
The gap, dude. I mean, I'm a single man. You're a married man. You got kids that are still in growing up watching these cartoons.
These cartoons, yeah.
You know, I no longer have kids that watch. I have no desire to watch
even
a
cartoon.
adult film or adult film.
I was about to say, damn. Damn.
What is it?
Come on, man.
Adult fish on TV.
Adult fish.
What is it called?
Adult Swim.
Adult Swim.
Like Family Guy and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't watch
adult films.
I don't even watch Simpsons.
So you shouldn't be watching adult films.
No.
He said, "No, I do watch adult films."
No. I was trying to say adult, so that's what I'm saying. I don't even know what it is because I don't watch them. You know what I'm saying? But that's where our gap is at. But no, But you know, to me, it would be like my daughter or a therapist,
right?
Who how can we, you know, like I said, social anxiety. How, which I think is a good thing that the school took away these phones because now at my reunion, I had a lady who works in the cafeteria, and she goes, before last year and the year before, there was no social interaction. Yeah,
with the kids.
There was no talking among them. They were all, you know, people are talking.
Yeah, but they're not paying attention. They're just on their
phones.
Yeah.
She goes, sometimes I can't even hear myself because they have no choice. If they want to know what's going on, they got to talk to each other. You know, hey, you know, and I'm sure what they're talking about is, have you seen the new TikTok, the new whatever,
the newest social media star?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's true though, dog. That's true. And
you know, and I'll admit it too, man. Like back in the day, I knew everybody's social in my family. Why? I'm not even gonna go there. But I knew their birthdays. I knew your birthdays. I knew everybody's birthday. Everybody in my family.
Yeah,
I knew them by heart.
Everybody's
I knew everybody's phone number by heart. You know, I only know one phone number of the old rotary numbers.
Damn,
you know, which was my grandmother.
Yeah,
you know. And I still remember that one. It was the most simplest phone, and I still know that number. I don't know anybody else's old rotary number. Right. I don't even know. I know my daughter and your mom's cell number. It's the only two numbers I know by heart. My dad, he's had I don't know how many numbers. My other kids in Lubbock, they've had I don't know how many numbers.
Yeah, our cousins. My cousins.
Yeah, they're always changing numbers. You know, I call them like, hey, you didn't answer. That's not my number. You know, so
that's true. I mean, like we've had this conversation before. Could technology be helping or hindering us? Because think about it.
Technology
our
helps.
Phones are getting so smart and high tech that we no longer depend on our own brain for things. Now we use everything. Our phone does everything. Right. So it's like we have no dependence on our own self.
That's what I see sometimes, you know, like on stories like this, nephew, that, you know, some of these kids will be like, I tell my parents, you know, I saw this on TikTok, see if it works for them. And that's when the parents be like, don't believe. And I'm not saying it's a true story. Of course, it's a creepypasta. Right. But can it really happen to somebody in a different form? Right. Not to the point where, you know, they kidnap her or whatever.
Right.
But But how many times has a kidnapper, as a stalker, hey, I see somebody at the window.
No, you didn't. Yeah.
And then next thing you know, look at Joan Bennett.
John Bennett Ramsey.
Yeah. Who killed her?
Because now they're saying something else.
Right.
Now they're saying new evidence, and now
which I do believe, nephew, because of technology.
Because of technology.
DNA is
advancing so far.
Dude, I mean, pretty soon I'm not going to say that there's not going to be no murders, because there is.
Yeah,
but
there is.
They're going to be solved a lot faster.
They're going to be a lot faster solved.
Yeah.
And Unc, you know what? It's crazy, man. Before we end out, I want to say that it's crazy how we jump to about emotions and stuff, and how everything we talked about still ties back to our creepypasta tonight.
Right.
You're talking about emotions, feelings, kids not knowing how to use them, but they are expressing them to the mom.
Right.
Then technology, maybe us as parents sometimes are too busy and we don't recognize changes in our kids like we should. Right. Like she's saying, wow, I noticed for the first time her eyes are circles and it's loose skin and her hair's dry.
So, but she didn't do nothing about it.
Exactly, but she didn't notice.
Right.
Why?
See, because she's stuck on something else.
Maybe she's stuck on her phone exactly.
Like when you go out to eat, nephew, do this. Pay attention.
Yeah, for sure.
I asked my family this weekend, I said, after church, after we left, I said, did y'all see that girl and her husband that was sitting over here? And they were like, no, we didn't pay attention. I said, she's an ex from high school, even before high school, like in junior high.
Right.
Somebody that I knew that I don't want to say an ex, it's just
just
somebody that I knew, right?
Yeah.
I dated or whatever. But if you pay attention around you, you'll see that some of these parents are not being the parent they need to be.
Right.
Because these kids are stuck with this, and the parents are too at times. Sometimes the parents are having an adult conversation, and kids shouldn't be in an adult conversation. I understand that.
Facts.
But pay attention to your children.
Exactly, dog.
When you go out to eat, turn this off. Put it away.
And have a conversation with your kids, bro. Because
enjoy
that's
the meal. Most kids don't know what a great meal is. I saw a TikTok
dinner
saying,
time.
Right. I seen a TikTok saying, in our era, we were excited to be taken to McDonald's. Now these kids want sushi and crabs,
shrimp boils.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah, I didn't know about that when I was a kid.
Exactly. We were happy to go to McDonald's.
Yeah, we was happy to go to McDonald's.
To get KFC once a month.
Damn.
Okay.
Well, we grew up. You grew up.
You grew up different than we did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your mama understands what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is pay attention to your kids.
Yeah, that's true, dog. Yeah. That's true, and that can lead to like this.
Yeah.
Girl was getting possessed damn near.
Yeah.
And the mom didn't even notice
because she wasn't paying enough attention.
Exactly.
She knew who she was. I love my daughter. But do you know your daughter?
You know your daughter. Yeah, no, that's good. Man, we had a good stopping point on, man.
This was great. Everything boiled back down to this story.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was good conversation tonight, man. But, October, I'm excited for the rest of October, man.
Dude, this is just the beginning.
Oh, damn.
I know next week is you're going to come up with the, hopefully a true crime
I got
horror.
A true crime for next week.
Not somebody who has to crawl. Remember when we had to crawl with
the nubs?
Yeah.
Yeah, dog.
That was a great story. So I know you're gonna come up with something good.
I'm gonna have something great planned, man, and I hope y'all enjoy this month.
Right.
This is, like I said, we push hard this month, and we're excited for this month.
Yeah.
And so y'all stay strapped in for the ride, man. Thank y'all for joining us tonight.
Right.
We really appreciate it. If y'all enjoyed tonight's content, man, we appreciate it, man. We just ask that you follow us.
Right.
If you enjoyed tonight's content, and stay updated with us, man, because week to week. This month for October,
next month
we have so much planned. So
right.
Y'all stay tuned for sure. And do you have anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Just letting people know that this month is going to be awesome. We are starting to get a what we call sponsors.
Yeah, sponsors.
People are starting to sponsor us, on certain things, and
yeah, definitely.
We're going to start shouting out more sponsors, and letting thanking the community.
Yeah, for sure.
I know. Like I said, trick or treat. Maybe might throw out.
Oh yeah, we might do
with,
something.
With uncle and nephew. Never know.
Yeah. That'll be cool. Yeah, man. Y'all never know. We have so much that we want to do. We just gotta put into effect.
Yeah.
And like Unc said, man, we have a lot of sponsors starting to roll in. So, man, if y'all ever want to sponsor the podcast, if y'all have a business that y'all want to shout out, anything y'all want to shout out, man, y'all just let us know, man. I mean, we don't have like a charging amount.
Right.
You know, just whatever you feel in your heart to give to the podcast.
Right.
We use it only for the podcast.
Exactly.
We don't use it for nothing else. So,
Right.
yeah, man, definitely. If y'all want to
Like
be
these brand
sponsored.
new mics that we got last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yes. So anything that we get is strictly for the podcast, and whatever you want to shout out on the podcast, just let us know, man, and we'll get that done for you.
Right.
And yeah, other than that, Unc, I think we're good to sign off.
Nephew.
Well, man, thank y'all for joining us for another exciting episode of Late Night Conversations with Unc and Nephew.
Right.
And until next week.
Peace.
Peace.